You talk about a story in your book about an encounter with one of the Beatles and an Aston Martin. Tell us about that.
Well, I was working I worked in English repertory, which is out of London. Or every town, every city had a professional working repertory company. And I was working in Bristol at the time, which was right at the top of the league table of these companies. And we knew that an actress in our group was Paul's girlfriend.
Wow.
And so one lunchtime in the pub, we were playing this game of, so you got £1 million, what's the first thing you'd buy?
Sure.
So you got, came to my turn and I said, oh, an Aston Martin.
Yeah.
I mean, they're wonderful cars. I'd love to have one. That was fine. About 2 weeks later, we heard the news, Paul's out front. He's in the show tonight. He's come to see Jane. Jane Asher was his girlfriend. And after the show, I had one little dressing room on my own. It used to be Peter O'Toole's dressing room.
Wow.
And I was in my underwear. There was a knock at the door, and I said, yeah, come in. Because in the theater, we don't care.
Right.
You know, I mean, film and television is much more cautious. And the door opened, and there was Paul McCartney. And he said, Jane tells me that you like Aston Martins. Here, drive this.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And he threw me a bunch of keys.
Did you get dressed before you drove it?
Darn.
That'd have been a good chapter.
If I hadn't, that would have been a story.
Yes.
A semi-naked.
So you took it for a spin?
Oh, yeah. We were in Bristol. We drove about 18 miles to Bath and back. And it was late at night. It was like 11 o'clock, midnight. And all I could think was, if I crash this car, it's the only thing I will be remembered for. This is the man who killed Paul McCartney. You know.
Did he remember you later? Have you ever run into him since?
Years later, yes, literally ran into him in Covent Garden in London. He came out of a doorway. I was walking down the sidewalk, and he said, Patrick! I couldn't believe that he remembered my name and that we had all this time. But we have since then got to know one another a little better. And have I got another minute to this?
Sure.
I was having dinner in a restaurant one night, and he came in with a couple of other people, and he gave me a big hug, and we talked for a while, then we sat down. We finished our meal, and we're getting ready to leave when Ringo came in and joined him. And oh, my God. Ringo, and Paul came over to say goodbye, and he hugged me, and he said, do you know Ringo? And I said, well, yes, but I've never met him. So he said, hey, Ringo, come here. And he said, just a minute. Ringo, Sir Paul, Sir Patrick.
Wow.
Wow.
He said, we, putting our arms around both of us, are Knights of the Round Table.
Thank you for that story.